happens back here on corner entry only serves to get the bike into position at exit. So he's going to work so hard at getting the bike pointed. On every apex out on the racetrack, apex is the point where we're closest to the inside of the curb. We're going to have 2 apex cones. Our goal, our report card should be, we want to be parallel with those cones as close as we possibly can to them. That's going to give us the most radius through the corner and lets you know the bike's in a pretty good direction. How's E's bike doing right now? Doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Understand, we don't care the speed you're going. We care that you're here on apex. You can come in here, brand new rider, trickle in here in second gear, apex, and drive it off. You're in a very good position. Very good position.
Now how's E doing? This is how every crash I've ever had in my life started. Right? We call this rush in the corner entry. We came in, he has so much speed when he gets to the apex. He's at the first cone and his bike is now starting to get run wide, pushed wide. Right? Number one place we're dying on the streets is getting rushed in here. Not able to have direction by the time we get to the apex. So E, is your corner completely ruined?
No.
You're gonna have to crash. You have no choice but to lay it down.
No.
What
Yeah.
can we do?
Yeah, just kind of thinking about realizing that we're a little rushed into this corner, so continue to stick with these brakes. We're riding our bike based on direction now. So now I stuck with the brakes and put this bike in a position to accelerate. Yeah, this isn't the perfect lap. You won't have the lap record, but realizing that our motorcycle is in a position to accelerate. So just thinking about working down towards this apex. And another reason that, or a thing, realizing that, hey, yeah, we want to get every apex, but let's not chase an apex that we already missed. Thinking about, now we're coming across the path of travel.
I'm coming in, I see E all the way out there, I go, oh, he's off the apex, I'm going to start to accelerate. When I accelerate, what happens to my radius? It opens, right? So all of a sudden, my bike's running this way, and here comes E trying to get this apex that he's already missed. So this whole idea, what's going to set you apart really for the rest of your riding life is you're going to start riding your bike based on direction, not where it is on the racetrack. Ride your bike based on direction, not where it is on the racetrack. So E came in, if my shoulders are kind of where my bike is pointed, I come in and I'm not able to get down to my apex. Is my entry speed too high or too low?
Too high.
Too high, right? So I stay with those brakes. I continue to let it point, continue to let it point. Somewhere in here, I've got direction. I could safely accelerate. This is not, okay, well, I go down there. I always go to the brakes at the crack in the seam.
I'm sorry, where is it?
At the crack in the seam.
The first crack or the
yeah,
second crack?
the first crack. Then I'll use my brakes for 37%.
37%.
Divide that by pi based on your CCs.
What kind of pie?
Well, right, so it's not that way. And you'll hear this. Hey, oh, I always turn here. I always go to the brakes. We ride our bike based on direction. If I have direction, if I'm pointed back here, I could safely accelerate. My bike's pointed back here. So it's not where you are on the racetrack. When is your bike physically pointed? When are you parallel with those cones? Then we could safely accelerate off the corner. So let's take E's for example back here, right? So he's off his apex and he hears me in front of him going brrrp, and I start to accelerate. So E accelerates. What's his radius do? Open. So what's he do to keep it on the racetrack? His bike's running wide. Right? This is how our high side happens, right? We've exceeded 100 points of grip. He accelerates, radius opens up. He's adding lean angle points to keep it on the racetrack against the throttle, right? Realizing the mistake was made back there, we could let that bike slow turn point. It may not be the best lap. If we could look, this is the reason we work so hard to get our bike down to the apex is this is the maximum radius we could carry through the corner, right? Which means we could do what with our speed?
Increase.
Carry the most amount of speed possible. But watch, every time I get off my apex, my corner's actually getting tighter. I get off the corner's getting tighter. So every time I miss my apex, what's my speed need to do? Decrease, right? So this just starts to become the way we think about this sport is, I want my bike here, I'm out here, to get the bike pointed and drive off the corner. We call this the umbrella of direction, right? Everything that we do, how we use our eyes, bodies, and brakes, all serves to get safely accelerate off the corner, right? So if we haven't yet met our umbrella of direction, bike's not pointed, we do whatever we need to do to get that bike pointed.
Quite good on this side. Go to the brakes, where to turn in, where to all those things. I know there's one group that puts an X where you turn in. And we don't say names here. We just say That's insane because that X will be too early for an R3 and too late for an R1. Ridden at the same risk levels. So we're riding the bike based on direction. That's what starts to change your life. So Uzziah gets it in here one lap, and Uzziah, did you miss apexes during the endurance race that you guys?
Oh yeah.
You're gonna miss an apex.
A lot.
Yeah, you're missing apex for maybe one or two, a couple reasons. Maybe you rushed in, you're just trying to go too fast, and you just couldn't get the apex. Maybe there's somebody on your apex. Uzziah still got it in, pointed, and drove it off based on direction. So this is what we're gonna chase, and that's what starts to change your life. Riding the bike based on direction. New corners, whatever else it is, makes it pretty easy. We changed the course is going. I can make it work. Good. Should we watch a couple? Key, why don't you come down? Make this a 90 for now. And why don't you use see this line here?
I got it.
Okay. Maybe use this line as your edge of the track. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. You can see it. And so we'll slide up that way. He's gonna go to the brakes when?
Nervous.
Good. When he's nervous. Go on the brakes when he's nervous. So let's watch a few. Walk you through that in just a moment. He's gonna have his butt preset. He'll get used to the corner. He can't see that white line yet. That was a little too quick for where we want to exit the corner, but he'll figure it out. Let's see what he says. Went to the brakes when he's nervous. Trail the brakes into the corner until he's happy with the speed and direction. He's gonna go the other way too. Let's watch. Got the bike pointed so well, had to stand it up on the exit. That's what you want. Standing it up on the exit. If you're standing it up, taking away lean angle points, you get that solid point. Thank you. Yeah, there you go.
Stefano Mesa, also Cone Boy.
Because the radius was a little bit tighter that time, he left the throttle shut a little bit longer. Everybody hear that? He's left the throttle shut a little bit longer. If you think to yourself, no, I should be accelerating here because I accelerated here last lap. Because the bridge is out, and I didn't say third time through I'll make you stop. You came in there at the same speed, correct? Yeah. Left the brakes on, raised the tightening, takes the way lean angle, gets to stop the motorcycle. I'll realize, man, I go to the brakes when I'm nervous. I just never let go of them on top of the speed and direction. In this case, had to stop the bike. Everybody good? So let's go again, and I'll start to change your entry speed, and he's going to work on getting direction. Because everything we do is under this umbrella of direction. If you can't get direction, you got to let it turn longer. So let's watch this on the road. Where he was accelerating somewhere down in here on this direction, he's not going to get accelerated down. Let's change things now. Let's tighten up his exit. You won't be able to see it. Behind the corner. It's going to happen to you today. It's going to happen to you on Sunday. There'll be gravel. There'll be a car. There'll be a dog sitting there. Name the problem. But you're going to be able to handle it. Let's leave him low in. Radius is a mile an hour. That's what you think immediately. Radius is a mile an hour.
Guys doing track days and racing. Man, that mile an hour has to come in tighter because you just gave up all that racetrack on the entry.
So Chris, he used his brakes to here, and he thinks that's wrong because he'd read, always accelerate past the apex. That's what he'd read. No, we ride the bike based on direction. That's what changes in your life. So this one, You used the brake to here that time. How come you used the brake so long?
I had to keep getting direction.
Had to keep getting direction. So you brake past the apex. And Chris, this happens all the time because you're running in a 4-hour race with all different levels of bikes.
Yeah.
And you're on a 202 horsepower.
Yeah, you almost never get the perfect clean lap. There's always someone in your way when you're on an R1 and they're on SV650s, right? So you always have to change what you do, but the lap time stays the same because I will always make sure to meet that umbrella of direction. If the bike is pointed, I could do a lot of this and the lap time looks the same even though maybe you came in on the not ideal line and you're having to change all that stuff.
And this idea, ride the bike based on direction, is what made he use his brakes all the way to here. He can use the brakes all the way here because he's not flicking the bike, he's not grabbing the brakes, he's not being aggressive with it. And riders, that's so you start to coach yourself. Don't wait till an instructor walks up to you and says, hey, you grab the brake. You got to start to feel it. You got to feel it because we're not going to be able to see every inch of the track every lap. You got to fix these things. I want you to do one more. I'll move the cones back in the correct position. I want you to come down straight line braking only. Straight line braking, off the brake before you turn in. I want all of us to watch what he does to the front forks. I want y'all to watch the front fork. Any speed you want. Don't think that's going to be fast. You know? Let's watch
but
it.
we'll make fun of you if it's not fast. So
Yeah, no, any speed you want. Okay? Off the brake before you
This is everybody's least favorite demo to do.
Let's watch the front forks, please. Engineers, watch the front forks. Right about here where we added lean angle, you saw the fork rebound. Let's go with brakes back here. Straight line braking only. That's the spot. Front contact pad get bigger or smaller? Your steering geometry numbers get more stable or less stable?
Less speed.
No, this idea we're chasing, man. We got to stop for just a second and realize.
See, he's having to set his speed by where Nick is. So you see how much slower he's actually going in through here with less control.
Yeah.
Less brake and trail numbers, less geometry, less contact patch, because he's trying to get all of his braking done over 100 feet versus letting him carry his brakes down here to 150. If our brake zone is longer, we could use them lighter and carry a little bit more speed in there with more safety.
I like it. All right. We're going to do one more. But where are we dying most often on a motorcycle? Where?
Corners.
Running wide in corners. Imagine a poor rider trying to go faster and faster with this particular style. Get off the brake before you turn in. Now add a downhill, add a tighter corner, add an unknown corner. So let's do one more. E, when I drop my hand, you need to accelerate the motorcycle, okay? When I drop my hand, he needs to accelerate the motorcycle. So he's going to come in on the brakes, he's going to be watching me, I'm going to drop my hand, he's got to come off the brakes and initiate acceleration, okay? Let's go.
Run this way.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
Yeah. See how he didn't wheelie every time? That's an improvement for him. It really is.
Chief Shenanigans Officer, Isaiah Davis.
I dropped my arm, I dropped my arm. Good. Everybody, you're out riding around, you're running wide in corners. Don't come in the street to stop the motorcycle. You're running wide in corners, so you got to brake too soon. Everybody good on this idea? And I just left my hand up and you had to leave the brakes on and circle the bike back around. It's pretty impressive. You come through a corner, you can stop your bike when the cop is standing there because there's a crash. Pretty impressive, and it's good speeds. That's good speeds. So now, E, when I drop my arm, off the brakes, accelerate. Yeah, you know, keep it up. Yeah, he's in charge of. When I drop my arm, I'll say now. Now! No hope at all. And people ride this way. Hey, Stefano, give us a wave. Stefano Mesa, insanely fast person. Do you street ride, Stefano? Move it? Okay. Yes, good. Well, good to see you here. Another rider who won a lot of stuff, and he may not speak with our vocabulary because he hasn't been hanging out with us very much, but he'll be saying the exact same things. He'll know why his bike runs wide. He'll know those things. He'll know why you tuck the front with brake pressure and lean angle. So that time, Uzziah, how did that feel for you?
Yeah, pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of off the brakes before turning in a little bit, accelerating, don't have direction, kind of all the things that lead up to a pretty big crash.
It looked crazy.
Yeah,
it looked crazy.
Felt it.
And you didn't come in here any faster.
No.
You just got off the brakes too soon, back in the fall too soon.
I mean, that's across that yellow line, street riding. That's into the guardrail. That's the number one thing, I think, is just not controlling entry speed with those brakes. And when we go to the throttle, we go to it too early or too aggressively, and it's not yet time to open up radius in the corner.
I like it.
And a lot of times that could be the difference between riding your motorcycle by majority rule or riding it by direction, what he's doing. He uses brakes on to how long?
Wait.
What two things? Speed direction.
Good. So let's all, yes, please.
Two quick questions.
Yep.
First, are you entering the corner slightly faster than you would had you applied the basic MSF method of slow into the corner, accelerate out?
Yes.
So are you entering faster to allow yourself more slowing into the apex since you're still on the brake?
That's
Yes.
what, that's what
So
you'll naturally
slightly
do. Yep.
mentally you're out of that comfort zone because
Yep.
now you're entering faster than you normally would. And the second part is, would you apply the same method on the road as you would on the track?
Yeah, definitely. You're going to enter quicker, but you're entering quicker under control, right? If you're trying to get off the brakes back here and guess your speed and let off and the fork rebounds and you lose steering geometry, you are probably going slower, but it is going to feel more nervous, right? Because we don't actually have a load in the bike, a load in the chassis, and the bike does not care if it's coming into turn 1 at New Jersey Motorsport Park or your favorite downhill off-cam. Because the brake zone is longer, I could go to them lighter, I have more time to adjust, and that kind of helps calm our brain down, and we can adjust our speed all the way down in there and feel more comfortable with it. Yo, Nick, do more riders crash on an overloaded or an underloaded tire?
Front tire?
Yeah.
Underloaded tire. Everybody thinks you go in and you fall off the front because you brake too hard at that lean angle. It might be because you brake too suddenly or too hard at that lean angle, but a vast majority of riders come into the corner, jump off the brakes, unload the front tire, and fall down. If you've had a front tire crash, it could very well be that you jump off them too soon. Got off too soon. You might have got off them, picked your throttle up, unloaded the front tire worse, and tried to drive it before you could take away lean angle. Now you just push the front and fall down. So if you've had that type of crash because you unloaded it too quickly, which is exactly what you just did, right? You unloaded it pretty early. Luckily, you had room to run. So, Rob, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so back to your question, I mean, there are people out there, you know, we won't knock anybody, but anyone heard of a brake gas turn? And there are people teaching these types of things out there. And if you look at Uzziah's last corner when he came through here, and he's running wide towards those vans, anyone have the hair up on their neck? And that's exactly what people are trying to teach, and it's incorrect, it's just wrong. So Nick's talking about unloading the front tire. When we accelerate, where does the weight go? To the back. So what happens to your front tire? And so not only are you running wide dangerously and going over that center line, you're unloading your front tire. It's the exact opposite of the way we want to ride these motorcycles. Whether it's on a track or on the street, it's all the same thing.
Yeah, that video is kind of funny, Rob. You know, 500,000 views. He says that method works on one part of the track, but not the other. And this is kind of the controls that will work for a lifetime. It's your brakes control 3 things: your speed, your geometry, and your contact patch. So ride this thing that is the way that it's designed to be ridden. This thing if you're changing direction, that thing wants the weight forward. Put that contact patch to the front. Slowly transfer that weight to the rear once we can see our exit, and take away that lean angle and continue to accelerate. So.
Yeah, Ian, one thing I'd like to add to that, again, just kind of beating up on the technique, you know, not the individual people, is slow in. Well, if it's your favorite 50-mile-an-hour downhill right-hand corner, you think you're doing 45, when you get to it, it's a 30-mile-an-hour left-hand turn, or you slow in them. It's really the idealistic way of teaching is not the practicality we're faced with as street riders. So the idea is we're riding that motorcycle based on control and direction. We're having our fingers up already. So if we want to be more slowly into the corner, we can use that element of control.
Lewis's favorite street bike's an R1 Turbo. So everybody, all this stuff, it revolutionized your street riding. And that's what our graduates are out there saying. You're starting to read that. You're starting to see that in the social medias. And man, this is a game changer for my street riding, which is where we're dying. And maybe the most joyful riding is some of the street riding. So if you quit it, you maybe get back to it.
To further your explanation of that a little bit, it would be to say that when you're street riding, the modulation is a lot more subtle than when you're on the racetrack. And so, you know, you're not at full throttle a whole lot on the street. Occasionally you are, but most of the time it's more subtle. Whereas on the racetrack, you're at full throttle a lot. You're at threshold braking a lot. So it's much less subtle. So yes, all the same ideas apply, but with a greater degree of subtlety on the street.
So less extremes, but more of the same on the midway.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. All right, I think we're pretty happy with the four-court champions habit. We started with Rossi saying you can forget about the rest of the world. So if your concentration is strayed during this time, I know it's a little tough when we introduce people, but it's part of the deal. If your concentration is strayed right now, see where your eyes are.
Thanks for watching, guys. We're doing ChampSchool at New Jersey Motorsports Park in Millville, New Jersey. Completely sold out school. Pretty much completely sold out for the rest of the East Coast rounds. We've got a few more spots left at Vegas and Indy Motorsports Ranch in Arizona in November. But other than that, completely sold out. Working on the 22 schedule now as we speak. But if you can't make it out to the physical school, I highly recommend checking out our new online course, ChampU, at champu.org or champschool.com. Introductory price right now, $49.95. Anybody can afford it. Doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter how big your budget is. You can come and watch basically the full 2-day school in an online curriculum, 40 videos, 40 quizzes, 30 plus drills. Highly recommend checking it out. Watch it. If you like it, come visit us at one of our schools. Everybody have an awesome day.